Okay, I'm Judd Esty-Kendall, and I'm 75 years old, and I've been writing songs occasionally since I was about 20 or in my early 20s, and none of them are written down. They're in my mind. So in order to get them down, I'm going to record them. And each song is just a little snapshot of one particular place in life, and I'm going to start with some of the early ones and see where that takes us. This is the first song I ever wrote. It's called "The Brightness of the Sun," and I had no idea what I was doing. I wrote it because I liked that chord, which I thought was a really interesting chord, but it's just a G minor. It's with a different fingering. Sometimes when I'm feeling bad, think of all the joy we've had. Though I'm out of touch and you're gone with the wind, your memories are enough for a song. And I know sometimes I might act strange. It's just my mind, my feelings won't have changed. When time has passed, when all is said and done, the day is made by the brightness of the sun. Your moods, they just fade and change, like the weather on a mountain range. And I predict them about as well as a weatherman, but I'm used to it now, and I understand. Where you go is not for me to say. The path you take seems to change from day to day. And I've learned by now just to take it as it comes. The day is made by the brightness of the sun. A true lover is hard to find. It doesn't matter if I'm on your mind. Well, you've got your friends and I've got mine too. But my heart will remain. I expect the same of you. Don't you know your search is just not real? The truth is not in what you know, but in what you feel. And should you ever feel that you'd rather walk than run, the day is made by the brightness of the sun. That was sort of about a composite character, but that was that one. And I was playing a lot of country and blues at that time. David Belser called himself Grant Belso or Clovis Bruton, and I called myself Southpaw Slim. And I wrote a number of little country songs, but here's one of them that I wrote. It was all this, like that first one, around that one chord. This was around a riff that I figured out. Feeling kind of blue this morning, thought I'd better stay home. Went to call my baby up on the telephone. Sat there waiting and the phone kept ringing. Picked up my guitar and started singing, Lord, about all the evil things that woman has done. I got a feeling, gonna hear bad news. Got a feeling, Lord, I'm gonna have to move. I got a feeling down in the soles of my shoes. Got that same old feeling people used to call the blues. Well, I know you used to tell me you wanted me to be free. You used to stare at every man, now you stares at every man but me. Telling jokes that don't make me laugh, and your words of love sound like an epitaph. I seen you sharpen your tongue, babe, and I'm the fatted calf. I got a feeling I'm gonna lose. Got a feeling, got me all confused. I got a feeling it's my neck in the news. And that same old feeling that people used to call the blues. I ain't seen you, baby, for nigh on 14 days. You act so high and mighty, but you sure got a low down ways. I get thinner and you get fatter, but I guess it doesn't really matter. I got a mind to knock on your door and run. I got a feeling, got a mouthful to chew. Got a feeling like Napoleon at Waterloo. I got a feeling, Molly Parker, I'm talking about you. With that same old feeling people used to call the blues. So that was a country song.
What was happening in your life around that time?
Around that time, oh, just
You know?
going to college, playing music. I dated a girl named Molly Parker for
I
a
figured.
brief little while, and I did you never put anyone's actual name in a song,
Yeah.
but I didn't care. Yeah,
I've done that.
yeah, we did. It wasn't a big deal. She just happened to be the name right at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, we were writing blues and little country songs, most of which are easily forgettable and have been forgotten.
Mm-hmm.
But
They're still in you.
they're still there, and that one's I play that one every once in a while.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm going to play 3 what I call the hitchhiking songs. I used to go from Boston out to St. Louis, and I would hitchhike out. And when I got there, I'd always go see my grandmother, which was a nice thing to do, and I'd tell her about the hitchhiking trip, and she would always fork over the money for me to take the airplane back, because we had student fare, which was a half fare, and it was standby. If there was a seat, you got on. If there wasn't, you didn't. So everyone back then had student flying cards. And so anyway, but hitchhiking is often boring. And there's not much to do, so I wrote some songs. Now this song, I was on the outskirts of Chicago, trying to head to St. Louis, and this old white van stopped. And I was an old guy. He was quite old to me. I think he must have been in his 60s anyway. I could probably almost figure it out from what, but he had an interesting deal. He said, if you can, and he already had one kid in the back who seemed scared to death and who never said much the whole trip. But he said, if you pay for the gas, I'll drive you all the way to New Orleans. The guy was from Louisiana, and he was desperate. He wanted to get back to Louisiana. And I said, well, I'm only going to St. Louis, but that's a fair deal. I'll pay your gas. Gas was cheap back then. And we headed off. He had a black dog with him in the van, and I was in the front, and he was, the passenger seat, and he was in the front, and this other kid was in the back, who I never really talked to that much. And I learned more from that old guy in the course of the trip. First of all, there was no interstate then, so we just drove down Route 66 from Chicago to St. Louis, and he would pull off in a small town shortly after we got out of Chicago and go to the pharmacy. And he went into the pharmacy and he came back looking really mad. And we drove on and went to another little town. Next same thing happened. Then we went to a pharmacy and he came out looking happy and talked to Blue Streak the rest of the way. I have no doubt he had some kind of counterfeit prescription he was trying to, a way of getting drugs, and he was successful. And he told me he talked to Blue Streak. And one thing I learned was that the biggest money he had ever made in his life, he'd been a working class guy, but he got into a life of doing petty crime stuff. Some criminal much higher on the pecking order was sentenced to 5 years in jail. And at that time there was no facial recognition. This would have been, when he was younger, so it would have been back in the 1930s or 40s. And he said he was the guy. He got paid a bunch of money. He went to jail, spent 5 years in jail as this guy. So that was, and I had no idea.
Wow.
But so this is the aging hustler, the old hustler. And most of these words are his, a lot of these words are his words. I used, and I should introduce, I've got my daughter Gwyneth here, who I've been talking with, and this is Kaz, who's the recording genius, who's actually putting me on some kind of tape. We've gone through a couple of songs.
Excellent.
And these are early songs in my early 20s, so this would have been about this song would have been about 1971, 72 maybe, probably 71. And it's called The Old Hustler, so. Saw you standing there by the side of the road. Been there myself, but that was many years ago. Come on with me and my black dog, climb aboard this old machine. And if you've the cash to pay the gas, I'll take you all the way to New Orleans. been a truck driver and a factory hand. I woke up late one morning and became a hustler man. I've been shot and stabbed, you can see the scars. I've walked that morphine line. And I spent 5 years in a Fort Worth jail, doing someone else's time. Don't truck with politicians, there's not an honest one. Their hands were made for the cash box drawer and their feet were made to run. There's just one fella tried to change the things that were wrong. The only man I ever voted for was Governor Huey P. Long. They say Benedict Arnold betrayed us by his fault, but he was young and a British subject after all. Pushed by politicians jealous of his rise, they nailed his soul to a double cross. He's been forever crucified. See, your eyes are glistening, your ears are open wide. You listen to this old man ramble as you ride. A poor man's misfortune is a rich child's romance line. But a poor man's life you couldn't sell for one thin dime. I was talking about the old guy before, and he was quite a thinker, and he was a reader. And he had recently read a book about Benedict Arnold, a biography. That's when he talked a lot about it, and he definitely took Benedict Arnold's side.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Huh.
So these are, I can't remember if you were here when I said, these are what I call the hitchhiking songs. Because I was hitchhiked from Boston out to St. Louis, and there wasn't much to do, so
That's what you did.
That's what you. So.
Can I ask you a question
Yes.
about your songwriting?
Yes.
Do you tend to come up with the stories and then apply music to them, or do you have music and then the stories come out into the music, or is it both? Is it yes?
It usually works that I hear a snippet of a song, a little piece, and I can't remember what the first part of that song was, but it has a tune and even almost harmony to
It
it.
kind of like comes together all as a package.
Well, just the beginning, and then I have to work on it
Mm-hmm.
and figure out what it really is. What is the tune? What were the harmonies? What
Interesting.
and it's as I like to tell people, it's the first of all the process. It comes from the subconscious somewhere. So the first job is to teach your subconscious once again to speak English.
Translate to you.
Right, translate to me. And you know, I don't know whether it's the subconscious or the spirits or whatever you want to call them, but they sort of help guide you, but not always in a nice way. Like, I can remember I play something and work hard at it and think I've more or less got it, and then this little voice comes into my mind and says, I don't know why you played it that way. I wouldn't have played it that way.
Oh man.
And, oh, well, let's...
Talk about the inner critic, right?
Right, let's try again.
Interesting.
So, and this one, just the chorus came, well, it's sort of a verse, sort of a chorus. This is just about St. Louis.
All right.
Blue sky, old oak trees, too warm to be any snow. Thinking about old St. Louis, people, and I'm ready to go. Don't care how long it takes me, you can't take all of my time. Going back to see my little lady, people, and I hope she's still mine. Might be fooling myself, I don't mind. I know that memory is a separate reality. I've been gone, Lord, I know it's far too long, but my friends will know me when they hear this song. Blue sky, old oak trees, too warm to be any snow. Thinking about old St. Louis, people, and I'm ready to go. Summer nights up on the rooftop, lunch with a bottle of wine. Summer evening spent stargazing, people, and I hope she's still mine. Might be fooling myself, I don't mind. I know that memory is a separate reality. I've been gone, Lord, I know it's far too long, but my friends will know me when they hear this song. Blue sky, old oak trees, too warm to be any snow. Thinking about old St. Louis, people, and I'm ready to go. That was about St. Louis, just traveling. The girl mentioned, because of course songs always mention, that was Marianne Shaughnessy, who was probably the most striking person I've ever been associated with. She was Irish, the very Irish family. Just those porcelain Irish features and this thick, wavy, reddish, bright red hair. And the family she was the oldest. It was kids right down the thing. And, there must have been like 6, 8, 7, 8 kids. I can't remember how many. But I was go over there all the time. Very Catholic mother. The father was an Irish gangster.
What?
They had a guy named Walter, a big guy named Walter that lived with the family.
Oh
he had his own
goodness.
bedroom, and he had a pistol.
Wow.
Under his coat. And, it was really interesting.
Huh.
But, and then they went out and moved to Salt Lake City.
Wow.
From
St. Louis.
Yeah, from St. Louis. I don't know what
See him
happened.
again?
No. And this is the song. I knew they were going. I knew it was so. This is for Marianne too. And she was quite an actress. She did a lot of the high school theater, then theater after that. Someday when your dreams are long forgotten and the men just pass you by on the street and you're sitting with your feet up by the fire, there might come a your thoughts will turn to me. I'm on my way back home to see you one more time. Though we've scarcely got a week to say what's on our minds, we're both ramblers, each of us in our own chosen ways. Right now we're moving much too fast. Perhaps we'll meet again someday. When you make your pilgrimage to Ireland, climb for me the mountains of the moon. Sea waves far below you, and for that one moment think on just how deep we've grown. I'm on my way back home to see you one more time, though we've scarcely got a week say what's on our minds. We're both ramblers, each of us in our own chosen ways. And though right now we're moving much too fast, perhaps we'll meet again someday. I'm on my way back home to see you one more time. Though we've scarcely got a week to say what's on our minds, we're both ramblers, each of us in our own chosen ways. And though right now we're moving much too fast, perhaps we'll meet again someday. Sorry.
No, you're fine. I'm in your line of finish. Did you ever get to play that song for her?
I might have.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because we spent a week. It was a week vacation of some kind. We spent a week together, and then I was back to Boston, and she was off to Salt Lake City.
When was that? When was this in
This is
the...
probably 1971, 72. then yeah, I could probably figure out but right about then.
Yeah.
This song, and this I played around here, maybe at open mics. You may have heard this one, but of course, going to college in 68 to 72, we didn't have exams for the first 2 springs. We were on strike over Vietnam, and everybody was into the revolution and the whole bit, and lots of people were involved. And there were building takeovers and all that kind of stuff, but
Was it most students, you think?
there were a lot of students were involved, and the building takeover, which was right near my dorm, the police, Harvard called in the police, and the police beat people. There was a famous thing, a kid who was in a wheelchair, one of my classmates was, well, no, he was older, but he was beaten out of the wheelchair by the police. Wow. And so everybody was radicalized. And that stayed that way for a few years, but by my senior year, the image that gave rise to this song was, I saw an old friend from those times who was walking really fast and looking at the ground. I said, "Hey, how you doing?" So I'd love to talk, but I got to study, get I won't get into med school if I don't. So it was a different time, and also I was going back from Boston to St. Louis, and I could see that the culture in St. Louis had not changed at all. And in the spring of 1972, it was obvious that Richard Nixon was going to be elected the president, and our peace candidate George McGovern was not going to make it. And so I was roundly criticized for this song, which I used to play back then. We would play, my room was on the first floor for my sophomore year in college, and when people would come out of the dining hall, we would all just go over to David and my room, David Garrett and myself, and play music.
You had like
the
living room of the dorm.
The living room of the dorm, and
That's
people
neat.
would just come. We'd do jam sessions, basically,
I love that.
several times a week. And this one was not well received. Oh my God, you're awful pessimistic. So it's called "You Better Watch Out, My Friend." 1950s coming back again. Shuffle down the sidewalks, kicking old tin cans, eyes buried in the ground, and their heads buried in their hands. Yet I can't find a soul who'll admit they're not satisfied. When things get rough, you just hang tough and bottle it up inside. 1950s coming back again, creeping up like a cop on a crook. Got a chop behind you, better take a look. Can't see no solution. I believe we lost the revolution, my friends. 1950s coming back again. Listen to the idle talk. They tell you a lot about freedom, then they watch you like a hawk. Don't step out of line, learn to accept your fate. And if you still seem to care when things are unfair, you can always meditate. You better watch out, my friends. 1950s coming back again. cop on a crook. Drop behind you, better take a look. Can't see no solution. I believe we lost the revolution, my friends. 1950's coming back again. Your hair now, 'cause anyone can wear it long. You don't have to talk about Vietnam, because everybody knows it was wrong. Relax, you tell me, there was nothing we could really change. Turn to God, get a job, come in out of the rain. You better watch out, my friends, 1950's coming back again. Creeping up like a cop on a crook. Drop behind you, better take a look. Can't see no solution. I believe we lost the revolution, my friends. 1950's coming back again. I didn't realize it would take generations before the 1950s really came back again.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what
But,
would you?
Yeah, like,
what
I
would
feel
you have
like-
written today?
Yeah, like you could switch out the name of a war and it would be a current modern day song you just wrote.
Exactly.
Yeah.
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 Anyway, that was 1950s coming back again.
I did have to laugh that I teach meditation.
Yeah, well, I was into it at the time, you know, hey, you got to be active here, you know, because there is a strain in meditation and,
Yeah.
and of
Yeah.
the meditation movement where
Yeah.
I'm above it all.
Yeah. So
Mhm.
we're moving towards meditation for social justice now.
Yeah. No, it can be incorporated, but
Yeah,
um,
it's just
it
funny.
almost-
It just made me laugh.
It made me feel like thoughts and prayers.
Yes.
yeah,
Right?
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly right.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That.
Not that thoughts and prayers are bad.
No.
And not that meditation
It's
is bad,
bad,
right?
but it's
But
just
like
sometimes
sometimes
we need
people use it
action.
as an excuse to not
Yes.
act. Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So it was just funny.
It was funny. I saw
Good
you
line.
chuckle.
Good line.
Yeah, that was a powerful line, because meditation was starting to be a
Yeah.
real in thing, along with people studying for their
Mhm.
to get on in life, as
Yeah.
if they were going to have problems getting on in life, going to Harvard anyway. But
Yeah.
now this song, which is written around the same time, and there are probably many like this.
Mhm.
Years afterwards, I was cleaning out some stuff in that house. This is
Mhm.
maybe when you were little, I don't know,
Mhm.
around that time. And I came across a notebook that had a few lines
Hmm.
from a song. Very seldom did I write anything down, but I must have, been in a place to write it down, then try to work on it. And I had completely forgotten that I had ever written that song.
Hmm.
It's totally
Wow.
it would have probably never surfaced.
Interesting.
Mhm.
But once I saw the lines, of course, it's all up in here, and I could remember it.
Hmm.
So it wasn't a major song of any kind. It was just this is a song about when you're young, maybe even when you're old. Some days you wake up and everything seems to work.
Those are nice days.
Yeah.
I would like some more.
And you can't, it's probably a chemical imbalance. I don't know what it is. It wasn't induced, but just this was one of those days, and so I wrote this song. I don't know if it even really has a name. Just had a day when it all seemed to fit together. I'm not talking about a new girlfriend. My situation's really no better. But I've got a smile. Feel like a Christmas child. It's wild. Nothing seems to matter. I could be a mad, mad hatter. See, then I'd invite you all to tea. Walking down the street, I heard a man tell his son where to go. He said, I hope you'll be married soon, then you'll see what I've been through. Well, I just had to laugh. They look so much like a photograph in his better half. You know she says the same to her daughter. Put out a fire with water. See, just don't take yourself that seriously. You look in the west, see the sun as it sets like a flame. Lights will come on and the stars come out, but ain't it a crying shame that this day has to end? Why can't we all be friends? Let's just pretend. On the morning after, you bring down the walls with laughter. See, just don't take yourself seriously. And I still remember realizing that you could make the same chord up here as down here and ending it with that. I remember writing that part. So, didn't even really have a name, but that's...
It's a good day.
Joy of discovery, too.
Yeah. That's about all I can remember from the college years. I mean, there were lots of songs we used to play, but most of them were, you know, you missed the country song, I think. But, so I once wrote an entire album of new material for Johnny Cash in a dream.
What?
Whoa.
Yeah, and it was brilliant. And I woke up and I searched around for a pen and paper to write it down. And by the time I found the pen and paper, all I could remember was one verse of one song. And it was a song called I'd Never Play Tennis with a Hippie. And the verse went, they never stop to greet old ladies on the street. They've awfully dirty feet and they never chew their meat. Oh, I'd never play tennis with a hippie.
Oh
So
my gosh,
there
that's
was-
amazing.
Right. It was not worth remembering the entire album.
Right.
But,
Oh my goodness.
Nice story to tell now, though.
yeah. So after college, I went to work in a factory.
Mm-hmm.
And this song was written while I was working in the factory.
Mm-hmm.
And thinking about, I don't know if this is a good long-term choice because the factory was very unhealthy.
Mm.
We had, I was making gaskets. And so you had there were machines, you filled your tray with rubber and metal, whatever went into the gasket, and there was a person right opposite you doing the same thing. and then you'd push the button and they'd go into the oven that would heat them up and make the gaskets. And we had 2 machines we'd operate. So we'd move on to the next machine, and the idea was to have that one go in just as this one was coming out. But to make sure you could get the gaskets off after they were made, we put stuff on the tray that was called green lube. That's what it was known as. I have no idea. It was a petroleum product of some kind, but it was...
Gross.
It was gross. And you had a little can that and a compressor, so you could put the compressor in, get air in the can, and when you push the thing, it would squirt some green lube out on the surface. But I learned my second or third day in the factory. We were on piecework, so you're trying to get as much done as you could. Okay, because if you made 110% of your piece rate, you got 110% pay. And so what you did, instead of pointing your can at the place you wanted to lubricate, you pointed it sideways and put the compressor up to it and gave a blast, and with the compressor, you could do it in a second. It would coat the whole thing with green lube in a second. But there's another guy standing right over there.
Yeah.
He's doing exactly the same thing.
So green lube's everywhere.
We all knew the symptoms of green lube poisoning.
Oh
Everyone
my
in the factory.
goodness.
So this is not a great song, but it was the and it makes use of Thoreau's "People Live Lives of Quiet Desperation" out of Walden. Well, I had to watch you while you were dancing tonight. Just couldn't help myself. Girl, I don't mean to be impolite, and I know you were somebody else, but let's give it a shot. Come on tonight, tear apart the seams. I gotta dream some dreams that just out of sight, out of sight. Well, I go to bed angry and I wake up tired, each and every day. 48 hours in the mill each week. Well, there's gotta be a better way, and gotta give it a shot. Come on tonight, tear apart the seams. I gotta dream some dreams that just out of sight, just out of sight. Sometimes I wander alone in the wilderness. Sometimes I sit right on the brink, watching all the people who live lives of quiet desperation. It's enough to make you think. Well, I want to admit that I grew up scared, like most of the population. If you really want to have the courage to love, you gotta use your imagination, and gotta give it a shot. Come on tonight, tear apart the seams. You gotta dream some dreams that just out of sight, out of sight. Sometimes I wander alone in the wilderness. Sometimes I sit right on the brink, watching all the people who live lives of quiet desperation. It's enough to make you think. Oh, I go to bed angry and I wake up tired, each and every day. 48 hours in the mill each week. You know there's gotta be a better way, and gotta give it a shot. Come on tonight, tear apart the seams. You gotta dream some dreams that just out of sight, called that Judd's hit song when I wrote it. But it never was.